Good evening, good evening, good evening, every one of you. I hope that you have had a blessed entire day. I hope that you have not let anybody disturb your peace. And if you have, then that's your fault. Ain't nobody fault but yours. Okay. Um, so tonight we're gonna get a little deep in here. And we got to get deep because a lot of us have kept some secrets. A lot of us have held on to some stuff that we should not have held on to. Some of us have some deep, dark, deep secrets that have kept us in bondage. And so tonight, uh, I just want us to get free, and I want you to know that you're not by yourself. I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves after we say hello to some of the people that are joining us. So far, I see Loretta. Hey, Loretta, how are you tonight? And I'll let Sharita introduce herself. All right. Since you're saying hello to everybody, you go first, girl.
I go first, girl. All
Yeah.
right. Hey, everybody. My name is Sharita Farrell, Sharita Young Farrell. And I'm just here to walk in my truth, even when it hurts, to get to my healing.
Amen, amen, amen. Y'all get ready tonight. Y'all get ready. It's gonna be so fun. Get ready, get ready. All right, Mr. Hand, go ahead and introduce yourself on tonight.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jamarius Hand, and I am here along with these beautiful God sent ladies as well to walk in my truth and talk about how God has made a change in my life as well. So I'm excited. Let's get it in.
Yeah, so we have a couple of people, well, three people that joined us that are gonna say hello. And then after I do these, then we'll just say hello to y'all after we finish so we can go ahead and get to the meat of things. Because we want to make the devil mad on tonight. I don't know if anybody want to help me, but I think he's gonna get real mad about this one, okay? Um we have Miss Moore. She said hi, and we have our brother Rosette in the house. He said, "Hey, family, excited about the show." And then we have Miss Jones. So get ready, y'all. My first question, and what we're gonna do, so we'll make this easy, and we won't be talking over each other. Um, I'm gonna ask the question, okay? And we'll have pretty much a regular flow of conversation. And if y'all have y'all Facebook on or whatever, just turn it down low so it won't cause interference. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, um, can you give Mr. Hand, can you kick it off with telling us a little bit about your situation and what you had to endure?
Yes, ma'am. So, my very first experience with any type of sexual interaction or action or anything of that sort, I was around the age of four, between the age of four going on five, and I had ended up at a family house where we were getting ready to go to an event out of town. And that member of my family, who I later found out had actually gone through this and was actually going through that at that time. At the same time, he asked me to do the action, which was, perform fellatio on him and things of
Okay.
that sort. Um, it was shocking. It was scary. It was emotional roller coaster. I remember that day going numb. I remember figuring out what it meant to be numb and how to hide. And I remember the confusion that was created that day. One of the biggest things that was pushed was you can't tell anyone. And so the secrecy started, the confusion started, the issues started from such an early age. And then I ended up having to experience it again from another set of family members, and this one actually lasted for a little bit of a time frame, almost 6 months, and I was around the age of 8 to 9 at that time. And the last experience, I was about 9.5, 10 years old, and that was kind of like my last sexual engagement in a forced manner or a manner in which I did not consent to.
Jesus. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. Then
Yeah.
Sharita, you go ahead with yours. We're gonna get into this tonight.
Okay. As far as my experience, it started from the ages of 9 to 14, and it was through family members, cousins, uncles, older cousins and uncles, and it wasn't like a longevity thing. It was like in spurts of different stages of my life.
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like from one particular person; it was from different people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I had to encounter, sexual
Mm-hmm.
abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to add, and those of you that already follow me know that I talk about the times that I was molested, and I don't like it. Get disturbed. My peace is bothered, tampered with, moved, whatever. When I think about the fact that we're not talking about people that are snatching us in the parks, we're not talking about people who are, that we don't know that we came into, whatever. We're talking about people who we're supposed to be trusting. We're talking about family members. We're talking about people. Now, the thing that I didn't like about my situation, and y'all can go ahead and start thinking about yours. I was disturbed by the sexual part of it, but the thing that I did not like is that everybody feels like you making up something when
Mhm.
you tell.
Mm-hmm.
So did y'all run into people saying that you lying on somebody, or did you hold it for a long time and then tell somebody, and because of that they start saying that you had to be making up something? Like, tell me what happened.
Um, I actually held mine for years. I was 20 years old before I ended up saying anything. And I ended up actually saying something because I ended up going through a medical situation and it got very severe. And me and my mom were just sitting around talking. And I remember when I first got sick, I remember just seeing the hurt and the tears in my mom's eyes just about me being sick. And then at that time, I came out to her as well, as far as um, being or living in that time frame in a homosexual lifestyle and engaging in those acts. And then after that, it was just kind of this back and forth, very candid, very raw and real conversation with her. And I just told her flat out, I was like, this is how everything started. This is where the beginning of that process came out. But I dealt with that from the age of 4 to 20 on my own.
Mm-hmm. Sharita.
Just like him, I kept mine in also. To I probably say maybe when I was 13 or 14, and I finally told my grandmother. But it was pretty much like hmm, it was. I wouldn't say that she didn't necessarily believe me, but it was pretty much pacified. Like, okay, baby, I'm sorry you went through that. Then, like
Mm-hmm.
the person who did it to you, just know they have to answer to God for what they done to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically it. And then I remember one time when my older cousin had bothered me, and I had to tell my mom because at that time I think this is one of my very first encounters, and I had what they call a hickey on my neck at the
Mm-hmm.
time from him. So I had went to school, and I guess the teacher had reported or wrote a note to my mom, and my mom asked me, what's going on, what happened. So I told her what happened, and all I remember is that we ended up calling my auntie and I had to tell her, what my cousin had done to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. I never heard any like ramifications or anything else from it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
You
the
know,
thing that bothers me in African American families, like sweep stuff under the rug.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
that, yeah.
we
Go
we
ahead.
got a big statement of what happens in my house stays in my house,
Exactly.
and I think that is a
Mm-hmm.
petrifying statement. It instills a lot of fear in kids and in young adults or in young people who are in black households or in our African American households, because we know that you don't take your mama business nowhere else. You don't take what happened in your house nowhere else. And
Mm-hmm.
so it creates this um okay to hold secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It makes it feel like it's okay for us to hold secrets and not be truthful with anyone about situations we've gone through.
And when you hold secrets, let's just go on and just get this part out. Um, I am a very blunt child. I was always a blunt child. Again, a lot of people could not accept the fact that, I said what I felt. When it came to the molestation situation, though, the first one, um, I didn't know how to communicate that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I found it hard to communicate uh, what happened. Okay.
Mhm.
I had men lusting after me as a little girl because of my complexion, which made me not like my complexion. I had
Amen.
men lusting after me because I had to wear skirts all the time.
Mhm.
I was raised in holiness, so we wore skirts all the time. And
Yes.
I had men at church trying to go up my skirt. I had people saying different things to me that were very inappropriate. And I kid y'all not, I hate to say this, but I started feeling like this is gonna be my life. I
Hmm.
started feeling like that. So did y'all start feeling like there's no way out of this?
I will definitely say yes. Um, for me, it is the main reason I even ended up in a homosexual lifestyle. I did not know how to heal from it. I did not know how to talk about it. I didn't know what to do. And so what I found out was that at one point I got to a place where I just said, it is what it is. It's just going to be, what it's going to be. And so I just took it as whatever. And I lived secretly dealing with that pain, secretly confused about sexuality, secretly confused about my own personal
Because don't
identity.
nobody want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about it.
And
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, everything was hush hush secret. Don't tell nobody, don't expose nothing, don't let any of the business get out because much like you guys, I grew up in a holiness church. Everything where I grew up was based on imagery. Like it
Mm-hmm.
didn't matter if the stuff stank, you covered it up and it looked absolutely amazing and appetizing. And it was the image of we had it together, but secretly we were
Toe up from the
falling
floor up.
apart and tore up and
Yes,
tore up
yes,
from the floor up.
yes,
Like
yes,
it was real bad. And so um because of that, that is the reason that initial impact in my life is the reason for a large snowball effect that I seen later in life.
yeah. And so I healed from my stuff. I took a process
Hmm.
because y'all don't know how we do it on True Fields Heard. If you do the True Fields Heard, just prepare your hearts and your minds and your soul to to embrace
Yeah.
how we are articulate on this evening. But I became straight hoe mode. I did not
Yeah.
go into a private place and don't nobody touch me. I then took on the attitude that I'm going to protect myself. If anybody gonna get it, it's gonna be because I slapped it on you pretty much.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be in control, and you're going to get out of my room, I say, and you're going to move.
Yes.
I was like, listen,
Yeah.
we can go on the little date. You ain't even got to feed me because I already know what you want. I already know you
Yeah.
don't want to be on no date. I had just a real nasty, funky attitude for
Hmm.
a long amount of time because I did not know what to do with these things that were inside of me. I
Hmm.
understood that spiritually some things had been put,
Something happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
something, because that's what sex was for. And so when
Yes.
you put the enemy in there, some demonic things are transferred.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
then I felt like, okay, well, I see something I like, so let me go over here and get this. Y'all ain't gonna be taken from me for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Right.
Y'all
Exactly.
get that same attitude.
I went through the same thing. I did the same exact thing. I used to. I'm like, okay, oh, he cute, he fine. Oh, I finna go and hit that because that's what they wanted to do. I wanted
Mm.
somebody to feel the pain that I was feeling internally myself. You know what I'm saying? Didn't know how to get it out. So yeah, it led to like a lifestyle of being promiscuous and stuff
You
like
cut in.
that. Yeah, just off the chain kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To where because it messes with your self esteem, you don't really
Mhm.
value yourself anymore. Because
Absolutely.
of what happened, and then you trying to deal and struggle and find who you are. You feel unworthy, things of that nature.
Absolutely.
And just
Yes.
like you, I was the same way. Oh, cause I'm brighter skin. Oh, she pretty. She think this. She think that. That was not the case.
I don't get nothing
But
about.
you, but they felt they gave him a right. I guess I don't know. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
That
But
is,
absolutely.
it's crazy you say that. You talk about losing yourself because my dad growing up, I was just talking about my dad, and if you
Hmm.
know me, you know there's no way you don't know who that crazy person is. My dad is hilarious, but growing up, I've always heard that your father hates gay people. Like that
Hmm.
was something that was just
Mm,
you can't be in this lifestyle because your dad hates gay folks. Like this is what it is, and so I lived life so depressed because I knew secretly I was dealing with this confusion of, well, this happened. I can't talk to anybody about it. So maybe this is just the sexual orientation that I'm most comfortable with because this is what initially happened.
mm-hmm.
But I remember living life wondering, am I going to be disowned by my father because of the fact of I've dealt with this, but he doesn't know where it originated from. And
Hmm.
Right.
so that was a big, big, big fear of mine was letting my dad see my flaws. That was a huge fear. And I lived in a way of where, like I said, it was all image. Everything was, now I have to portray this certain image because he's a well-known football player. He's a this, he's a that.
Yeah. All
And
that.
he's all like he's an it guy. And I have to replicate being an it guy. And then my mom was pretty cool and everyone knows them. And then now they're adults in the community. My dad is very active in the community now with young men and helping people, things of that sort. And my mom was running a church and doing ministry at that time. And here I am in the middle, like, I don't want to do what my dad's doing. I don't want to do this church thing because for years I've seen holiness
Hmm.
and religion and all of this form me into this image of a liar. Basically, I lived a large percent of life as a liar because I wanted to present myself as a certain way, and I was dealing with unhealed issues.
Yeah. Look, okay, so we had Miss Robinson say something to us. She said, we as blacks will be quick to cover a rapist, molester in the family rather than expose them for the monsters they are. Black community is notorious for hiding sexual abuse, but is quick to expose and shame homosexuals. Um,
Mhm.
Hmm.
Karen joined us. Miss Smith joined us tonight and said being abused as a child, young child, is devastating to a child's mental health. The fact that you feel embarrassed, confused, and like it's your fault makes it difficult to have good relationships with people as a whole because you don't trust anyone. That's
Mhm.
the truth. Michelle said, "My heart hurts for you all. However, you are in a good place where the blood of Jesus will heal the hurt. We behind it.
Yeah,
I'm a living
truth
example.
did hurt.
We,
Yeah.
we
Uh,
tell we yes,
that's
we
why.
are.
Look, I really think that the only way we were able to do this show is that healing took place, and so
Oh,
that's why I thank
absolutely.
God for that part of that. So, amen to that. Um, I'll read some more later. Where I want to go now is, did you find it difficult to be true to somebody in a relationship once you found somebody that you did like? Did you find it difficult to be faithful or to just be in that relationship with that person, or did you find yourself wanting more, desiring more because these spirits have been transferred?
You want to take it, Sharita? Miss Sharita? Or you want me?
You
Y'all
can
know,
take it,
get
and
on
then
in
I.
there, get on in there.
Okay, I'll take it. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
It was the hardest thing to be in a relationship with somebody successfully. Um,
Mm,
I fell in love with. I'll never forget. There was this one girl in high school, my ninth grade year, and I'm like, it was. I was so infatuated with this girl, in love with this girl. Like I'm like, she's my high school sweetheart. We're gonna go through high school together. We're gonna graduate together. I had planned out in my mind mentally, um, everything that I wanted with her. She was beautiful in every aspect of the word. But I noticed that I started once we started dating. I started pushing her away. Everything that she would do to try to show love to me or some kind of affection to me, it set me off with a rage that I just could not explain. I didn't know how to comprehend it. I did not know. Everything that I'll say this, I had a false sense of love. I had no understanding, no concept of self love, no concept of how to really genuinely love anybody else. Like anything dealing with love, I just did not want to deal with it because I felt like people who loved me hurt me. And then not only that, but additional people who were supposed to love me didn't even care enough to try to figure out what was going on with me or what transpired with me. Because it was a long time. I was just like, if somebody just asked me, I'll tell you everything.
I
But
just
no,
started doing it. Look, I just started doing it. Just
yeah,
they get Princess. They had to say get her because she up here. Because soon as they say how you doing, I'm not doing good because I'm in this room with Uncle so and so and so. And he looking at me funny again.
and
You
see,
know,
I
I
wouldn't
just
even,
start cutting up. I just start cutting up.
But see,
man,
I'm gonna
go
say
ahead.
I was the opposite because I came from a dysfunctional family.
Mhm.
Alcoholics, ready to fight anything at the drop of a
Mhm.
dime. So if you come in there and say, well, oh, such and such touch me, you're alive, you're gonna be made to lie, you're gonna be a whole
Yeah,
blowout,
yeah,
people might end up dying and stuff of that nature. So
yeah,
that was another reason why I held it in, kept it bottled up. And even to the day, I'm like, okay, Lord, but they see their life, they take it the way they want to take because I'm
hmm
through with it. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I
yeah,
always tell people when you come on the Truth Is Hurt show, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Everybody has a version of the story. I've
Yeah.
had where on my show, I've had the people that had a problem, then I've had the people who didn't like that you told on them that they
oh,
got.
absolutely,
And so, guess what I tell them? You got your side of the story, but most of the time, let's go ahead and address this part right here. Most of the time, the people that do this stuff act like they have amnesia. They don't remember none of this stuff. They've been washed in the blood of forgetfulness, and the Lamb of God has washed away all they look all of the thoughts and all of that.
Yes.
And then I said, Lord, when you heal me, can you heal me like that too? Can you
yeah,
take all of what they did out of my brain too?
yeah.
Exactly.
And that would now that's a big thing because for many of years I thought that my abusers just I'm like, how do you not know what you did to me?
You know.
And you know that you did this. And for years I rehearsed it. It was almost every day mentally. I'm like, I can't believe they did this. Why did they? There was some part of the day that I was like, a pity party. Why did they do this to me? And this
Mm-hmm.
was for years. I went through this, and I would try to like snap it back, get myself together. Even into my adulthood, I had found myself going back to that 4 year old state, that 8 year old state, that 10 year old state, and being like, why didn't nobody catch this? Why didn't nobody care? Why didn't nobody, try to figure this out? Um, I watched an old family video, and one of my mannerisms in the video, I was kind of like, how did nobody even like see that mannerism or try to catch that? And it just showed how oblivious we became, or not oblivious, but I would say how we were so adamant, or sometimes our family members can be, um, I don't know the word. I don't know the exact word to
We
explain
ain't
it,
gonna
but
be able to. We ain't, like if you don't think like that, I have
yeah,
a new rule that if my mind don't understand that like that, I ain't gonna even try to make my mind
make
Yeah.
your
understand
mind
it like
process it. Yeah, no,
because then I'm gonna be just as crazy. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
as crazy as the people.
yeah,
So I'll just be like,
but
but let me tell y'all something. So I'm gonna give y'all a scenario. You're probably gonna have one too. So when I finally told my mom, there was a night where somebody came home drunk
Mm-hmm.
and they did not touch me or anything, right? But I had already been molested. I had already been raped by that time. And so this particular time, it was late at night. And so this person came in front of me and they pulled their body parts out and they had it in my face, right? So I kicked them first. and then because I was on the sofa, so let me paint this picture for y'all. So I jumped up, did whatever I had to do, and then my first thing. So mind you, I'm getting out of what I like bed, like so I don't have any shoes on or anything like that, right? So it's like my foot. So that ain't gonna really y'all see what I'm saying. It's not really gonna do much of anything at all. But what I decided to do that day was I was like, listen, I'm going straight in here to tell my mama because I'm sick of this. Like, I'm tired of this. And I'm not holding this secret in no more. And I was in my teens. And I remember going in there where my mom was, thank God for her, because most of the stuff I had kept a secret, or I told some older cousin who told me, well, you shouldn't be so pretty. Dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. So anyway, long story short, when I told my mama started gathering up his stuff, just gathering up his stuff, and she was like, "You gonna get out of my house? You gonna have to go because you're not gonna do that." And I think that day was a day of healing, start the healing because I was not completely there, but it started the healing. Say, oh, so they lied because something may happen if I tell on you. So did y'all ever think that if there's somebody that I could tell it to, something will happen? Or did you feel like it wasn't nobody to tell at all?
In my case, absolutely nobody to tell.
Jesus.
Because it was that perception that it was gonna blow up because of my family dynamics.
Yeah.
You understand? So yeah. Absolutely nobody. So that's why I suppressed it and held it in for so long until just the other month.
Yeah.
Really?
I think I you.
Yeah, just came up. Yeah.
I will say there were a couple of family members that I could have said something to. The issue was for me how to say it to them. Because they loved all of us. And my abusers were family members that were very close knitly connected. Like, these are everyday people you see. It's nothing for them to pick up the phone and call another family member and do all of that as well. So for me, it was just kind of like, how do you say this? And then also because we were all young at that time, I was 4, 5. My first abuser was like 7 or 8. And then my second abuser was 14, 15 at that time. So we were all still kind of young, and everyone, I felt like you say something against somebody else's child, that's going to create an even bigger issue. And I didn't want to wear the weight of destroying the family or the destruction of the family being on my back or on my shoulders because I've come out and said something that is true against, your kids or other family members.
I can agree with that because in my case, like when I had to, tell my aunt, what my older cousin had done, and when it happened, it was a case of they was babysitting us. So after having to tell them, it was like we didn't go over there no more. That was
that's the answer. You just don't.
Somebody else ain't gonna watch us.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Well, so let me tell you. So I talked about this in Princess, where my neighbor, his daddy was somebody that was a molester. He was a molester, the son. So they were trying their best to get me to come into the house, trying to entice me with freeze pots. So this is my first, issue. And I was about 6. 5 or 6. I remember that part of it. And I remember them kept trying to entice me to come into the house. So this is my first experience. So these were not family members. Okay. These were people that lived next door that my mama trusted, because where we grew up in Atlanta, you look out for one another's kids, you don't let anybody hurt the kids. And so I told the lady, the lady that was there, I said, your husband and your son keep bothering me, right? So I was standing and I remember I said that. And so I said, your husband and your son, they keep bothering me. And she said, go back over to the house. And she went to go tell on me. She told my grandmama. And she told Big Mama, and she said she keeps accusing my husband and my son of doing stuff or whatever. And you know what I thought was really sad? That lady thought a child my age would just come up with
Some kind of,
some, you
yeah,
see how far fetched that is.
yeah,
Just some child that would come up with something way out there like that. Not that he trying to steal my ball, not that he took my dog or something, or nothing like that. But she's saying this and that. So one particular day, I remember that young man pulling me into that house. Next door. And y'all know we over here, we tell it so we can be free. Amen. Uh,
Amen.
so I remember him pulling me into that house, and I remember him pulling me into the bathroom and locking that door. And I
mm-hmm.
remember the smell of his body part. Do y'all
Mm-hmm.
remember stuff like in detail? I remember that.
Yeah,
And that it made me sick on my stomach. Okay. So then when I got older, and I would smell that odor, or I would see a
oh,
man look
yeah,
like that. Y'all see what
yes,
I'm saying? See a
yes,
man that looks like he might molest somebody, look like he might just. And do you know you can identify spirits? Don't y'all agree with that?
oh
Y'all
yeah,
can identify spirits that do this same thing.
mm-hmm.
So when I get around people, even today, I tell my husband, get me away from over
Yeah,
here. This church member that want to
yeah,
hug too tight,
Like,
that want to rub my back, that want
mm-hmm.
to be trying to kiss me out up in my face and stuff. Get me away from here. And then
yeah.
people say, well, you should be delivered by now. I will never let go of that. I will never. What about y'all?
I will say to this day, there is a scent that I
Uh,
still, it's one particular scent I can smell and it triggers everything. And not in a way of it sends me down an emotional roller coaster, but tell I can go back to
yeah.
like that
You go
that
all
that
That
the way
day.
person that like
back
I
there.
go
Yes. Back
all the way back.
there. Mhm.
And I'm very funny now as an adult male. I'm very funny about how I hug people or even interact with people's kids and things of that sort. I'm very watchful of that, not in the mindset of I'm worried about myself or anything like that, but just in the essence of I don't want to trigger
Mm-mm.
any issues for anybody else. So I'm always very mindful of that. But yes, there is a very distinctive scent um, that I can smell, and it instantly takes me right back. Like I know this, and
It's
this.
like it's like, and people see it as to be negative, but I see it as a blessing from God because now I know what I'm dealing with, and now I know what I'm getting myself into. Even though
Mm-hmm.
before when I was living in sin and just doing what I was
Mm-hmm.
doing, I could
Mm-hmm.
tell and identify that smell. I could identify that spirit. I could pick it up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was angry or whatever, I could pick it up. So, do you have anything you want to add while we right there?
Well, for me, it was more such as an act. Okay, to say for instance, like okay, you can be with your honey, you getting busy. They might try to be sensual with you, and like how they say you undressing each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna undress me and take my panties off. I can't do that because that to me signifies you taking it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
and
you
that's
got
something that
triggered.
you had to. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a trigger. So
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
that I
So
had to.
listen, y'all, with I talk about these things. I help young women. I do different sessions or whatever to try to help people overcome this. What saddens me is that at the middle school, I realized that a lot of women were dating men who like their daughters more than they like them, or who like their
Mm,
sons more than they like
Mm-hmm.
them. And so I found that a lot of people was getting in relationships really quick and allowing people to come into their lives and allowing these people to be there when they're not there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had a set of triplets there that they all would lock themselves into the bathroom together and sleep in the tub whatever way they could to keep this man from bothering them while their mother was working third shift.
Wow.
It was middle school. And so when they came one day and said, Miss Princess, we didn't have time to change our clothes. Will you let us come into your room and change our clothes? But because we're afraid to take our clothes off at our house, because this man thinks that he can actually touch all of us, any of us. So when I spoke with the mom about it, y'all, she
Mhm.
was so disturbed that her daughters came to talk to me versus talking to her first. And she was so mad that they always trying to get rid of her men.
Mm.
Like they trying to run all the men off. And she can't never have nobody and be in no relationship with nobody because these three girls, who all of them are climbing into a bathtub to sleep, you telling me that that makes sense to you, mama? So I promise y'all, I almost fought that lady that day. Have you been in a situation, a conversation with somebody who has been dumb or naive to the fact that something is going on and you trying to help somebody and they act like they don't know?
Oh yes. My, I love my mother. She is now one of my best friends.
Mhm.
But initially, when it first came out, I was like, "Lady, if you, oh,
You know this
oh,
is
try,
funny.
try." I was like, "Try,
Yeah.
lady, try me." Like I, it was very hard for her to process.
Yes, and
Um,
I get it. I get that.
and I think that was the biggest thing was that it was just very, very hard for her to process the fact of it happening. Even with my dad, and I'm going to speak in the essence of my parents because I'm very open with my parents. My parents are
Right.
very
Okay.
approving of all this and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
even with my dad initially, my dad got blowed up on like completely. I spazzed, lost it, like went completely left. Like my dad got blowed up on, and it wasn't his fault. It was my dad was active and then he was missing. Then he was active and then he was missing, and
Right.
so it was the in and out thing. And when I got to a place of where as I got older, I got to a place of where I don't know why, but as a man, I just wanted a connection with my dad. My dad had
Yeah.
become the first, like, it was just like my dad was super important to me and having that connection of um, almost the need to have that man affirmation, that male affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
that was there. So because when I went to him and I'm like, Dad, this is what happened, Pops, this is what went off, this and this and this. My dad's a very open, candid guy. Like there's nothing you can't take to him.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time I seen him like kind of pause and not know how to mentally process it.
It's hard.
And
Yeah.
because of that, I lost it on him. I was expecting him to be like, just know immediately what to do and what to say and give
Mm-mm.
me some kind of answer, give me something, but he was lost. And so I lost it. And then my stepdad and my mom wanted to take me to our pastors, our covering pastors at that time, and wanted
Mm-hmm.
me to sit and talk to him. And I had nothing for him at that time because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to get your own mule out the ditch. And so I just did. I just in that moment was not feeling him in that moment. And so
Mm-hmm.
talking to people became an issue to where I'm just like, screw everybody because nobody's going to get it. And nobody's going to make me feel like a liar or feel like I'm making up something when this is something that dramatically happened to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that initial talking and initial first couple of steps of initiating the conversation was
Mm-hmm.
very difficult. It was very, very difficult.
And I get that. I do understand that because what we're saying to whoever is not something not something like I fell off my bike and I, hurt myself, or I get it, but at the same time, we need some better responses. We need some
Yeah.
better responses. We need
Yeah.
Well,
something in
I think
place.
that,
Yeah.
but I think that goes back to a generational thing. And the
Yeah.
reason that I say that is
Right. Yeah.
because older generations, our grandparents' generations, and things of that sort, was also taught that when things happen in your household, you don't say anything. I have a great grandmother who is 90 years old that I'm still blessed to have, and I have my grandmother who is in her 60s, mid 60s, who I'm still blessed to have on both sides. And they've all told me stories of where they may have experienced or know someone who may have experienced certain things, but they didn't talk about those situations well into their adulthood. And so um, this this segment of it's okay to self heal in a way. It's okay to hide it in order for us to try to heal ourselves, but there's nobody there that really truly understands the process of dealing with molestation or dealing with hurts to this magnitude. And I think that the reason that it's continuation of this is because I'll say this, I grew up in a time where grandma's prayer was a big thing. And everything was the old church lady, the old church mother raised me, the old church mothers, prayed for me and did all this stuff, and they were the ones that taught me the way. But when you look at them coming up in their marriages and in their lives, they were also the ones that did not have a voice. So the only thing that they knew how to do was take it to their prayer closet, take it to my secret place. And there was a lot of stuff that our family members have dealt with because the only thing that they knew how to do was to take it to the secret place. And so my secret place was not the prayer closet. My secret place was my own heart. And I festered and I embedded a lot of sin and a lot of hatred and other things developed and derived from me internalizing an issue and not in any way, shape, or form trying to figure out how do I release this so that I don't affect or continue this action to somebody else of a younger generation. So I think that we have to erase the mindset of it's not okay to talk and really focus on or really work on developing a way for families to come back together and there being an open communication in families so that kids know or anyone knows that if anything like this happens again, this is who I can go to talk to.
Right. We gotta have somebody. It's gotta be
Mm-hmm.
somebody. And all my nieces and nephews know it can be me. I have
Mm-hmm.
not a problem. I don't have a problem. And I do it. I'm very careful about how I deal with things,
Mm-hmm.
how I handle situations because I don't want repercussions, doing stuff
Mm-hmm.
and casting, because for me on one side of my family they said that I was just trying to divide the family by bringing this information up.
Bringing
Like
this up. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're just trying to cause problems because your mama and your daddy didn't work out, and I'm like, and I don't know what that is. I didn't come here for that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have other things that I want to be doing with my
Mm-hmm.
life. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
I promise you, I can find something else to do besides talk about
Right,
somebody touching on me.
right, absolutely.
Or some other lie to tell, like I stole a cookie, or you know what I'm saying? Like I took the
Right.
$5. I took the $5, and or I didn't take the $5, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I did ask the audience if anybody has any questions for any of us at this time. Um, I see your comments. Yes, this is very sad, y'all. I did go seek counseling for myself because I knew that I was broken in so many places. I
Mm-hmm.
can't begin to explain to y'all. I was a dressed up garbage can pretty much
Oh,
my
absolutely.
whole life. And I just tried to function. And I didn't like the fact that I looked like something. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like the fact that I had issues with women talking about my clothes. You know what I'm saying? Either they too tight or they too big. I battled with trying to figure out who I was or whatever, for that. Do y'all have anything y'all think we should address right now while we wait on somebody that we might have skipped, or left out that we should talk about?
I just want to say that I think we should talk about the lasting effects on the identity it creates
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mhm.
person,
Yeah.
and how it alters the initial identity of someone. Like I can speak to my testimony.
Mhm. Mhm.
Man, I look back on the fact that some days I look back on the fact and I'm wondering, how did I even end up in a homosexual lifestyle? How did I even participate in that? And it was because of the fact of, like, I go back to my little high school sweetheart that we broke up, and this is the time MySpace was a big thing and all that stuff. And I ran into a random person on MySpace from, well, like, when I say states away, this person was, I was on in Georgia, this person was in the northeast top corner of the world, of the
Mhm.
US.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this? What? Why? Where is this person coming from? Why am I talking to them? What is all this stuff? But it was a safety net, and this person, I had developed this person as a safety net. In any issues I was dealing with, they got it. They got the tail end of it. They knew the raw, the real, the this, that, and that person was the first person in a long time to say, I love you past your flaws.
Mhm.
And I think that we have to teach people or help people understand when they're dealing with this stuff, that bitterness is a real true root of
Ooh, it's
this.
poison. It's poison. Ooh.
It is a real true root of this. Bitterness and unforgiveness
Mhm.
is two of the biggest things that you deal with after going through something like this.
Mhm.
And I altered my ego, or my ego was altered, I'll say that, in the essence of me wanting to fully escape that issue.
Right.
And because no one has taught me how to deal with it, because no one would talk to me about it, because there was no way for me to address this, um, the only thing I know to do is to escape. And so that's my escape, was completely, okay, if this is what you think a relationship should look like, I want nothing to do with your relationship,
Right.
because
Right.
you don't care about my issues. You don't care about my pain. And I wore offense to the biggest, um, everything offended me. Everything somebody did offended me. And I would curse you out to no end. I would
Mhm.
fight you like I was a walking anger ball.
Mhm.
And it got to the point to where, even with my stepdad and I were going through issues. It got to the point to where I had found myself planning this man's murder.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was so bitter and
Mhm.
angry. The effect of bitterness had deeply rooted so bad into my heart that I had reached the part of where I'm beyond anger. I'm enraged to the point of where I'm ready to kill somebody. And I remember going stone cold one night, like, he say something tonight, is it, like, this is gonna be it for him. And so what I don't want to miss the opportunity to help people get is go into the root of healing the heart, so that you can understand the
Yes.
true authentic identity you have been created to have. I
Mhm.
think that sometimes we help people mentally heal, but we don't help people emotionally heal. And
Right.
that's two different things. So where we kind of, and when I say mentally heal, sometimes our definition of mentally healing is helping you forget what transpired. And
Mm-hmm.
if you forget what transpired, then you kind of heal from it because it's not in your face every
You're
day.
absent from it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
it's absent from it.
disconnected. Mhm.
Exactly. And and this isn't a sin of the flesh to where you can be absent, or you can resist the devil and he'll flee, and know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this ain't me scratching no sexual itch. This is me really dealing with something that is deeply embedded and deeply rooted in the heart. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the secret sins of the heart is what leads to a lot of sickness. And until we heal the secret sins,
Yeah,
or we heal the secrecy that we are so um we're so trained to hide, because in a way we're somewhat trained to hide it, until we get to that point and want to authentically and as raw and as real as we can dig up the roots of that issue. We
that's
still
it.
will deal with people who are having manipulated identities or altered identities because of the fact of they're still lost in their true self, or to their true self.
Look, you hit truth is hurt on the nail, okay? Because when it wasn't, I promise you. So we have a question, and I'm gonna start by answering. Did these abusers ever apologize, or would you even accept it? And let me tell you something. I can deal with somebody telling me the truth. What disturbs my peace is when they lie and act like they don't know what I'm talking about. And
Mhm.
so whenever uh my major situation, I don't know if some of you have read Princess, but I had a major situation where it required that I have surgery, okay,
Mhm.
and was told I wasn't going to have kids and stuff. That's how bad that one got.
Mhm.
But I have three children, so God
God,
is
God
totally
bless.
able to
Amen.
put us back together. But I realized that even though my body had healed and different things that happened, I realized that I had to do what my brother just said, and that is to start with my heart issues. Because if you don't start there, you're not going to love people. You're not going to be open to somebody loving you. You're going to always be suspicious of people. You're going to be thinking everybody is after you. And everybody is not after you. I
Right,
promise you.
right,
I promise you, the whole entire world is not coming to get you. But
right.
yes, I accepted the apology because the apology was truth.
Mhm.
When the person said, I'm sorry, I did what I did to you. Now, has everybody apologized? No, but they don't even have to no more because some of them don't even know how to say
Mhm.
what they need to say. They say something wrong, it might go left. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They say, say the
Right.
wrong thing. So
They
it's just
had triggered something.
it's just
Yeah.
best if you ain't ready.
Leave it
Yeah,
alone.
Yeah,
yeah,
just go on, walk on the way. Go ahead,
yeah.
Sheree.
But that's true about accepting the apologies. My older cousin, he had apologized. I think we was I remember it was one of my uncles had passed away or something, and we was all, you know how people gather around at the house and stuff. But what threw me off, like you were saying, like he was a person too who had dealt with his own identity. He was into
Mhm.
homosexual and all that stuff too. But this particular day when he was offering his apology, I wasn't ready for it. I was still in denial. Although he went around the room, which I think kind of stunned me, you know, with all our cousins. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry. You know, it was like he was issuing out these heartfelt apologies to all his younger cousins or even some who was, you know, around his age for the things that he had done. But I was to the point I wasn't even ready to accept it because I don't even know why, but I think I was just shocked.
Mhm,
And then
mhm,
one of my cousins said, "Well, man, if she don't remember it, then just leave it alone." It wasn't that I didn't remember; I didn't want to address it at that time. So when
mhm.
you are getting that apology, you have to be ready to receive it.
Mhm.
I think that was one of my things. I guess
And you
I'm
can't try to figure out if they mean it or not. You
exactly. I
can't.
think that's
I'm
it because
telling you,
I
it's
was like,
poison. Like our brother said, it's poison. You really
Mhm.
asking. You really just want to heal for yourself. Like it ain't even got nothing to do with them. If
And
they want to sit over there, yeah. If they want
that
to sit,
was my thing. Like I've never received an apology
mhm,
from any
yeah,
of the
some people ain't
abusers.
gonna- yeah.
Nothing. Like
That's a good point.
it just it never happened. It's almost like to them mentally, it's almost like it never happened. And that's why it was so important for me to get to a place of healing for myself.
Amen.
Because I realized that even if they don't ever apologize, they don't get to steal this much joy of
My
my
whole
life.
life. My
and
whole
that's
life.
They had they had taken up so much headspace mentally. Like I lived days remembering and reminding myself and rehearsing, and this happened, and I would go to events and they would be at the events just normal, cool, collected, like ain't nothing happened, and I'm in the corner like I can't even have fun, or I can't even enjoy myself because
All that.
I'm so like my head is just running back and forth on, do I punch you? Do I just leave? Like
Trip you
what
up,
do I
go
do?
Why
back.
you here?
Right. I'm
Why
like,
you here?
Take my foot
why
out,
are
lay
you
out there.
here? Like
Yeah.
all of that. And it would be all of those issues would just run through my mind. And so it got to a place where I say, you know what? Like they don't get to steal this headspace. I'm giving them too much headspace. And forgiving
Hearing.
them came through forgiving me.
Yes.
So it
Now look,
was
my we had Tawana asked us a question, but she said we answered it. So that's really good. And then Karen said, sadly, sometimes the abusers have been abused themselves. And when I find that
yes,
out,
yes,
that
Yeah.
right there, that's
Yeah.
because healing didn't take place because folks didn't
yes,
open up their mouth because
exactly,
you know people
Exactly.
kept these secrets and stuff because we kept hiding stuff. And so
exactly.
my brother, I did not realize that he's deceased now. My brother Prince told me, he said, Princess, I want you to know such and such touched me or whatever, and I don't want to go to my grave. And this is when he had a heart issue, and you know he lived 5 years after that, but he was thinking he was going to die at that time. So he told me about that, and so he was saying, I pray my children never have to go through this. He said, because for a long time I didn't know if I like men or if I like women, but the one
Mhm,
thing I wanted to share with y'all that he said that day, which made all the sense in the world, he said the only reason why I would start choosing the man is because the man would more than likely understand, because we have to be
mhm,
quiet so
mhm,
much when people do this to us versus women, you know,
mhm,
who you can say somebody did something to you, but he was like, we have to hold these secrets. Let me tell you what Joy said. Joy said my abuser died a horrible, painful death from cancer. Now, my one of my abusers died on my birthday, so that did happen, but that was the only one that apologized to me. Let me say that. Um, she said she was abused from 2 to 4, and then others
mhm.
was other abused from in teenage years and have suffered. But God, revenge is the best. I have to
Right.
say amen to that one.
Right.
So don't let them steal your joy. Okay, y'all, we're
I,
gonna do our closing flavor. Who
yes.
wanna go first? Who wanna go second? And I close out.
Sharita, you take it. I've been
Well,
talking too much.
what I'm taking, I'm sorry, y'all. I
This
gotta
was
go
good,
catch
praise
back
the
in
Lord.
it to you.
Okay, I'll say this. Um, to every person that has ever dealt with it, I will say do what you have to do to seek healing. Um, for me, it was God. The only way I really got to the place of healing that I needed to get to was through God. And if it wasn't for my relationship with God, I started attempting suicide at 18,
Oh,
19.
Yeah,
yes.
suicide.
Eh,
Then what we
So
forgot to discuss.
I went down a path of if I can't escape this pain, I'll take myself away from this pain. And the only way I knew how to was to try to kill myself out of it. But God had another plan for me. And so now I'm doing this, living out life and achieving the goals of which God has for me. But it wasn't until that place until I got to the origination of who God created me to be and understood the relationship of what God had created for him and I to have. So to anyone who is dealing with any unforgiveness, any hurt, any pain, get back to your origin, and your origin is your relationship with Christ.
praise the Lord. That's it.
That's it.
Sharita, what you got? What you got, girl?
Well, I'm gonna say, like, as far I agree with him, you have to get back to the origin. And for me, it happened to be the birth of this show that helped me to pretty much get through, because I had suppressed things so long, and it had come to a point of a couple months. I'm like separated from my husband right now, and the devil always have his little tactics and stuff. So this dude from back in the day, that he's like an extended family member, and he also, as I look back, I'm like, oh, he was one of my abusers too. Because every time we came around, he tried to kiss on me, grabbing my booty, touching on me, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, it happened to come about, because I suffer from allergies and all that stuff. He wanted to bring me some sea moss. Let me help you out with all that. I'm like, oh, I sure do need some of that. And then one day, my baby said, Mom, don't let him come over here. I'm like, huh? The look in her eyes. And I don't know, I guess it was God. I say, why you say that? Because I had dealt with him prior. And, this before I got married and stuff. So I had dealt with him. And we finally hooked back up. Then I'm like, okay. But then after that, after we had broke up or whatever, and I sent him on his way, that's when I found out he was a registered sex offender.
Jesus.
And when my baby said that, I'm like, and she said, yeah, he touched me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, what is this? So I feel like I got my healing through her. And I couldn't even, and I know it when nobody was going, because I didn't go grab a 38, even though I was 38.
Jesus.
God kept me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all I could do was I couldn't even call him. I inboxed him on Facebook because I saw he was online, and I told him a few choice words, deleted him, blocked him, and left it alone. And me and my daughter sort of talked about it, but I didn't push the issue because when she get ready, she'll have to, but we didn't do nothing but cry, and I prayed. So it helped me to get me where I needed to be, to let go of all the past, all the stuff from the past and burying it. Because I'm like, I thought I was through with this, and it just all resonated. God brought it back to my remembrance. Because that would say, He'll bring it back to your remembrance. Like, and I had already been dealing with unforgiveness, period, in plenty of areas of my life. Because you crossed me one time, that's it. That's the kind of person I was. I wasn't gonna give you a second chance to hurt me because I had been hurt because I was harboring that hurt. So I guess my final words would be like this wonderful quote from my girl Felicia T. You repeat what you don't repair, and we don't need to do that no more.
That's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Falika. She came through now. She came through on another show.
You will repeat what you don't repair. Oh my God, that's really good.
Yes. So listen, y'all, we're I thank God for the two of you. When I do Truth Heals Hurt and we start talking about things that dig a little bit deeper, people always say, Princess, why you do this? Right? Because it's stuff that people don't want to talk about. And I realized that the only time that I started healing is when I opened up my mouth, when I was given a voice to speak, when somebody said, you know what, it's this time out. And when we pull the wool off of the enemy's eyes, see, now he's been exposed. Tonight he's been exposed, not through just our stories, but through some of you, because some of you are now going to take the journey to begin your healing. Because you see what the products of healing are. So we had a person on the show that has started the process, my sister, and then we have somebody who's showing you what it looks like to be healed from this thing. And so guess what? Whom the Son has set free is free indeed. And so let me tell you something. We don't have to live in bondage. We don't have to hold all this stuff and harbor this stuff in our hearts. We don't have to keep on entertaining the enemy with these old negative lying thoughts that he gives to us, because his job is to kill, steal, and destroy. And so it might have come into your life for the bad, but I promise you this evening that this show is going to help you get that thing turned around so that it'll work out for your good. Come on. So if you need to get on this show with us, I'm sure they'll come back. I promise you, I'm sure that they'll come back and they'll help. Look, if you not all the way truly free, we do it, Sharita. We will help you call somebody that's
somebody.
Because we have the victory in Jesus' name, and we're gonna walk in this anointing and this gifting. Listen, Sharita shared some things tonight, some information tonight. I don't want you to go without thinking, without letting you know that there is help out here. I don't care if it's
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus or whatever. There's help out here. Okay.
Yeah.
Want you to seek professional wisdom
Counseling,
and
counseling.
guidance. Yeah, because we ain't talking about talk to Prince's counselor or whatever. Because Prince is gonna have one version of the way she heal. Every last one of
Right.
us heal a different way on this line. But
Right.
you want somebody who can meet you where you are and start you with the steps of it. So I just thank God tonight for this platform. Thank God for all of you that are joining me tonight. And again, if you don't allow truth to heal your hurt, you will allow lies to kill you. That is the
Mm-hmm.
truth. The lies will kill you. I'm just telling you. They will suffocate you and soak out all of your energy. Let me tell y'all what some of these people said, because y'all know I like y'all to know, okay? Um, Kim said, so proud of you, Sharita. Love this platform. Don't ever stop. We have Joy. She said, Dr. Harney said, you can't fix what you won't face. All right. We like that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Tamika said, thank you for your stories. May God continue to heal you. Melissa said, awesome platform. Thank you. Y'all know I like to tell y'all that people was on here hanging out with
Yeah,
y'all.
hang out with us.
So give me one more minute if y'all would. Okay. Um, Rosette, my brother Rosette said, thank you all. Thank you all for your transparency. It takes a lot, y'all, to do this. I'm telling you.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have to be at a place of healing to
Yeah.
go and reveal some of this stuff. And then Tawana said, thank you guys. Pray that God continues with the healing of the hurt that you guys have dealt with. Love this. Okay, so y'all have an awesome night. Awesome night. If you can think of something that we need to talk about on Truth Feels Hurt, let me know. Do like Sharita did. Say, honey, we need to talk. Okay. We need to
Miss
talk now.
Miss
Okay.
Princess, do you mind praying for the people before we leave?
Oh no, I don't mind. How about you do it and I join in with you now?
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
All right, you ready? Let's
yeah.
go.
Because it was
God,
gonna
we
go hard. I believe that. Go ahead
yes,
now.
God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together again and to present the glory and the love and the greatness of your nature and the greatness of your love and who you have called and awarded the victory of each and every one of us to be. God, we just pray for the hearts of each and every individual that may be dealing with molestation issues, maybe dealing with identity issues, hurt from their past. Lord God, we ask God that you just help them to initiate the process, and then not only initiate the process but also to complete the process so that they can understand or know what it means to be truly free and have a heart that is truly set out for you, God. We ask that you give them and equip them with the tools necessary and bring around the people, Lord God. Bring the people into their lives and remove the people, God, that need to be removed. We thank you for doing what only we know that you can do. And we thank you for the love, the truth, the strength that is going to be given to each and every person throughout this process. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good night, y'all.
All right.
Good
Love you
night.
guys.
Next
Love you.
Tuesday. Oh,
Have
next week we're gonna be talking about mental illness, what
Yeah.
Good
you should
one.
be doing and what you should not be doing. All right.
Good one. See y'all.
All right.